I'm 82 years old, and I used to believe that I had already seen all the ups and downs life could offer. I had survived a war, lived through a pandemic, said farewell to people I loved, watched the world change, sometimes beautifully, sometimes painfully. But what I never saw coming was the one decision I now regret most deeply: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it all seemed to make sense. My daughter worried about me living alone, especially after I slipped in the bathroom one night. I didn't want to become a burden. Everyone said a nursing home would be safer. There'd be caretakers, hot meals, medication on time, and even new friends. "You'll be better off there, Mom," they told me. And I believed them. The day I left the home I'd lived in for more than 40 years, I took one last look back at the old sofa where my late husband used to sit watching baseball. The little table where I'd place my morning tea, the curtains I had sewn myself by hand. Those tiny, ordinary things turned out to be everything I longed for once they were gone. At first, I told myself, it's just for a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, then I'll go home. But time slipped away. The small room, the scheduled meals, the unfamiliar bed, the sound of nurses' footsteps in the hallway at night. I began to forget what it felt like to be in charge of my own life. Then one morning, I woke up at 5 a.m., staring at a white ceiling. No bird song through the window, no smell of coffee brewing in the kitchen, no one calling me Mom, Grandma, or Evelyn, only patient in room 212. That's when I realized something. I had grown old, not because of my age, but because I no longer lived as a free person. If you're listening to me now, maybe you're at a crossroads too. Maybe you're thinking about a nursing home, for yourself or someone you love. And before you make that decision, please take a few minutes with me. Let me tell you the 6 things I wish someone had told me earlier. Because nursing homes aren't just buildings. They are turning points. Ones that can quietly take away your freedom, your dignity, and your sense of belonging in the world. Walk with me a little while. Then you can walk your own path. Clearer, freer, and more whole. People often think of freedom as something grand. The ability to travel anywhere, to make big life decisions. But when you live in a nursing home, you realize true freedom lies in the little things. And those little things are what uphold your dignity. When I was still at home, life followed a natural rhythm. I'd wake up when my body felt rested, eat breakfast whenever I felt hungry, pick lunch based on my mood, spend afternoons reading a book, making tea, or watering the garden. I didn't need permission. I didn't need to wait for someone to tell me when or how. But after moving into the nursing home, everything changed. The day began at 6 a.m. Whether or not I'd slept well the night before, meals arrived at fixed times. The food, whether I liked it or not, was the same for everyone. Bath time, medicine time, group activity time, all scheduled. Want to sleep in a bit longer? You need a valid reason. Want to go outside and feel the sun? You need someone to wheel you out. And sometimes they're too busy. Want to wear your favorite dress? They might suggest pajamas instead, since there's no activity today. No one is doing anything wrong. The staff is kind and well-meaning. But in a place run by schedules and routines, it's easy to lose the simple right to choose your own life. At first, this might feel frustrating. But after a while, people stop resisting. They stop asking for anything beyond what's given. And in that quiet surrender, a part of you begins to fade. As if you're learning not to live, but simply to exist inside a system. A dress once tied to joyful memories sits untouched in the closet. Your favorite song doesn't play in the afternoon. Only the hum of the TV fills the room. The joy of watching a sunset from your porch now feels out of reach, because there's no one available to walk with you. One quiet afternoon, golden light spilling through the window, an elderly man whispered softly, "Back home, I could choose to do something or nothing at all. Here, even the right to do nothing is gone." That's when it hit me. Freedom is the right to choose. Even if that choice is a quiet day, a slow morning, or simply sitting still, as long as it's your decision, it matters. Nursing homes offer safety, comfort, and medical care. But the trade-off? The tiny freedoms we once overlooked, now deeply missed. And when those freedoms fade, you don't just lose convenience, you start to lose your sense of identity. So if you or someone you love is considering a nursing home, please ask this question. Can comfort that's been arranged by others ever replace the joy of living life your own way? Because once your decisions no longer belong to you, no matter how clean the room, no matter how well planned the routine, life can begin to feel like it's no longer yours. When I first moved into the nursing home, everyone reassured me, "You won't be lonely here. There will be nurses to take care of you. You'll have friends around." And at the beginning, that felt true. My family visited. My daughter brought homemade chicken soup. My grandson sat beside me and read books aloud. In those brief moments, my tiny room felt warm again. There were hugs, promises, "We'll be back Sunday, I'll FaceTime you every night." And I held on to those words like tiny lifelines. But time moves on. Life outside doesn't wait. Work gets busy. The kids grow up, school, exams, friends, visits become less frequent, phone calls grow shorter. And then, silence. Instead of the familiar knock on the door, there's only the soft hum of hallway lights and the quiet shuffle of feet that never stop at your room. One day, sitting in the shared dining hall, I noticed how all the residents would glance up every time someone new walked in. Hopeful, eager, then disappointed. They didn't say it, but you could see it, everyone waiting to be remembered. There was a man named Walter. He used to be a high school teacher, sharp, witty, full of life. Every morning, he combed his hair carefully, wore a button-up shirt, and asked the nurse, "What day is it today?" "Saturday, Mr. Walter." "Ah, then my daughter must be coming." But many Saturdays came and went, and the chair next to him stayed empty. People often think that being forgotten is intentional, but it's not. It happens slowly, not out of cruelty, but out of the busy rhythm of everyday life. When grandparents no longer live under the same roof, it's easy to assume they're fine, because they're being well cared for. But there's something no nursing home can ever replace: the feeling of belonging. In American culture, where independence is valued and every person has their own space, leaving your home, your neighborhood, your church, your grocery store is a quiet kind of grief. No one wants to be the person who's visited on Thanksgiving or Christmas, only to be forgotten the rest of the year. Yet, that happens more often than you might think. One autumn evening, I sat in my small room, soft light glowing from the lamp. I looked at the phone on the table. I wanted to call my son, but I hesitated. I didn't want to bother him, didn't want to sound weak. That feeling, needing someone but fearing you're a burden, is the loneliest feeling in the world. Being lonely in a place full of people is hard to explain. Some residents still smile, they still join activities. But if you look closely, their eyes drift, like they're remembering something, or someone, from long ago. Dinner tables are full, but often each soul sits quietly within themselves, hoping someone remembers they exist. Nursing homes don't make people forget, but they do make people easier to forget because of distance, routine, and the blur of daily life. So if you have parents or grandparents in a nursing home, please remember this. One phone call, one letter, one simple "how are you?" can carry them through an entire week. And if you're considering this path for yourself, ask, will I have enough connection to stay emotionally alive? Will my family still be present, not just in schedules but in spirit? Because in the end, no one wants to be just a name on a medical chart. We all want to be called by the names we cherish: Dad, Mom, Grandma. With love that doesn't fade. People often say, as long as you're alive, there's hope. But what keeps hope alive? It's not just a heartbeat. It's waking up each morning with a sense of purpose, no matter how small. Before moving into the nursing home, I still had that. My health wasn't perfect, but I could still cook for myself, walk around the backyard, wash my clothes, and fold them neatly into the drawers. I wasn't strong, but I still felt in charge of my body and my life. And then slowly, that feeling disappeared. Not because of some illness, not because of a sudden accident, but because I stopped doing the things I used to do. Meals were delivered to my room, clothes were washed and folded by someone else. The floors were cleaned, the beds made, the pills handed to me. At first, it felt convenient. Then one day I found myself wondering, if I'm no longer doing anything, what am I living for? There was a gentleman named George. He used to be a master carpenter. In his backyard workshop, he built tables, chairs, and toys for his grandchildren. But here, there was no wood shop, and his once strong hands now sat quietly on his lap. Each day that passes here, I feel a part of me fading away, he whispered one afternoon. Not because anyone did anything wrong, but because I no longer get to do anything right. Not doing anything doesn't always feel like rest. Sometimes it feels like being erased from your own life. Some residents try to adjust by joining group activities, games, coloring, choir practice. And for some, that helps. But many of us didn't miss the activity itself. We missed the meaning behind the things we used to do. The joy in cooking your family's favorite soup, the pride in folding laundry with your own hands, the satisfaction of fixing a broken chair or planting a new flower in the garden. No one else can replace that. So if you're thinking about placing a loved one in a nursing home, remember, elderly people don't just need care, they need purpose. And if you are that aging person, if you're listening to this with your whole heart, please ask yourself, what can I still hold on to? A hobby? A habit? A ritual that lights up your soul? Because having purpose doesn't always mean chasing big goals. Sometimes it's just having a reason to smile one more day. Before I moved into the nursing home, my health was still fairly good. I wasn't as spry as I was at 50, but I could still cook a meal, walk around the yard a few times, wash my own clothes, and fold them just the way I liked. I wasn't strong, but I still felt capable. Then a few months passed, and slowly, that sense of strength began to fade. Not because I got sick, not because something dramatic happened, but because I stopped using my body the way I used to. Meals were brought to me. My room was cleaned for me. A nurse helped me sit and stand. Everything, no matter how small, was done for me. At first, it felt comforting. Then one day I noticed getting up from a chair felt harder. Walking down the hallway took more effort. My legs, once steady, felt uncertain. There was no injury, no diagnosis. Just a little less walking each day, a little more sitting, until the strength quietly left. One afternoon, out in the courtyard, I sat beside Alice, 81 years old. She whispered, "I walked into this place on my own. No cane, no wheelchair. But now, after just a few months, I need someone to push me." I'm not even sure when that change happened. No one had hurt her. Nothing had gone wrong. But when the body no longer moves, it forgets how to move. Nursing homes are designed to maximize convenience, which is wonderful for those who truly need it. But for those still able to move, too much convenience becomes a silent thief. Because when we stop using a part of ourselves, we lose it. And the decline isn't just physical. As the body weakens, the spirit does too. You stop feeling excited about things you used to love, not because the passion is gone, but because you no longer believe you're capable. But here's the truth. The human body can stay strong at 80, even 90 years old. As long as it's encouraged to move, supported to stay active, given reasons to keep going. There are people out there, right now, walking every morning, gardening, even practicing yoga, at age 90. They're not extraordinary. They're not superhuman. They just haven't given up on their bodies. So if you're thinking about living in a nursing home, ask yourself, will I still have the chance to stay active every day? Or will I slowly stop moving without even realizing it? Because once you stop, starting again becomes the hardest part. There's something many people don't think about when considering a nursing home: being watched. Constantly. Even during moments that once felt private, personal, sacred. Back home, we all have our corners. A favorite armchair by the window. A quiet room to sit and listen to our own thoughts. Little rituals. Folding the blanket in the morning. Reading before bed. Playing music you love without asking anyone. These were more than habits. They were acts of selfhood. But in a nursing home, privacy becomes a luxury. The door is never quite fully closed. Staff come in to check on you at any time, sometimes without knocking, or knocking and walking in before you can respond. One day, I had just finished changing my clothes when the door opened. A nurse walked in cheerfully saying, "Time to check your blood pressure." She meant no harm. She was doing her job kindly and gently. But over time, even small moments like these pile up, and you begin to feel like you're no longer in control. Not of your body, not of your space. What about going to the bathroom? Getting dressed, taking a shower? Even with the utmost professionalism, even with the kindest intentions. Being helped with something so personal, when you've done it yourself for 60, 70, 80 years, feels like something inside you quietly breaks. Dignity doesn't disappear in one day. It fades, slowly. Each time you have to ask for a clean pair of clothes, each time you're called by your room number, not your name, Each time you have to wait to be allowed into the bathroom. Not everyone feels this way. Some adjust, some accept, but for those who've lived independently their whole lives, it's a quiet heartbreak. One woman said to me once on a still afternoon as we sat watching the light fade through the window, "It's not that I want someone to do everything for me. I just want help when I need it, and to still feel like a person when I don't." That sentence stayed with me. A gentle reminder to all of us, the elderly don't need pity. They need respect. So if you're looking into care homes for your parents or grandparents, don't just ask about meals or medicine schedules. Ask this: will my loved ones still get to be who they are here? Will their privacy and dignity still be honored as whole, complete human beings? Because growing old doesn't mean growing invisible, and no one, no matter their age, should have to surrender the right to simply be themselves. When I first moved into the nursing home, the thought was simple. I'll try it for a while. If it doesn't work, I can always go home. It sounded reasonable. A temporary solution. A place to rest when health dips, when family gets busy, when you just need some support. But then, like a door that slowly closes behind you, one day you realize, going home isn't as simple anymore. At first, I still thought about my old house. The little front yard with petunias in bloom, the warm kitchen, the soft chair by the window. But slowly, those things began to vanish. My belongings were reorganized by helpful relatives. Some were donated, some were sold. The house grew quiet, cold, and uninhabited. And when I brought up the idea of returning, I saw hesitation in my family's eyes. "Are you sure, Mom? Do you think you're strong enough to live alone again? We've set everything up here already." They weren't being unkind. They were just not planning for me to come back. Meanwhile, my body, which had quietly weakened in these calm, inactive months, no longer felt the same. Climbing stairs now felt like a mountain. Even cooking a small meal made my hands tremble. And then came the most painful realization. It's not that I can't go home. It's that I've stopped believing I can. Someone once told me, living in a nursing home is like sitting in a boat that drifts slowly downstream. At first you think you're just taking a short break. You'll row back when you're ready. But the water is gentle and the oars slip away. And when you finally decide to return, the shore is already too far. No one explains this when you sign the admission papers. No one warns you that the longer you stay, the harder it is to find your way back. And the most frightening part isn't the walls around you. It's the moment you realize you no longer dream of leaving them. So if you're thinking about moving into a care facility, please think beyond tomorrow. Ask yourself and your loved ones, is this a temporary pause or the final end to my independence? If one day I want to go back, will there still be a home waiting? Will I still have the strength to walk through the door? Will someone be standing there, arms open? When we're young, we think the biggest decisions in life are about careers, marriage, money, or success. But as we grow older, a quieter, equally important decision appears. How will I live the final chapters of my life? No one teaches us how to choose between freedom and full-time care. No one talks about what it feels like to be forgotten, to lose your sense of purpose, to realize that once you step into a care home, life may never look the same again. Not all nursing homes are bad. Not everyone who lives there is sad or lost. But here's what no facility, no matter how modern, can replace. The sound of your children laughing in the kitchen. The joy of choosing your own breakfast. The comfort of stepping out onto your porch, sitting in your favorite chair and calling out the names of the birds in your yard. Maybe it's hiring a part-time helper. Maybe it's moving closer to family, not to be a burden, but to stay a part of their world. Or maybe it's sharing a home with a fellow senior, cooking together, caring for one another, while holding on to privacy through companionship. There is always more than one way to grow old. And sometimes, the gentlest path for your heart isn't the one that looks most convenient, but to open a deeper, more honest, more human conversation. Have you ever had to make this decision for a parent? Are you living in a care home? Do you still feel free and fulfilled? Have you helped someone navigate this choice? What do you wish you knew earlier? Please share your story in the comments below. It could help someone who's lost in the same decision right now. And maybe your voice will be the comfort that lights up thousands of hearts. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss our next stories. Real voices, real feelings, and reminders that every life, at every age, still matters. Wishing you and your loved ones a life full of dignity, freedom, and quiet joy.